what is up? We are back with season 2 of the podcast, Spiritual Roundtable, with myself, Child of Balance, and Miss Keys of Wisdom 369. And it's about to get turned up a couple notches this season. Buckle up. We're back to what we do best: devil's advocate, expansive thinking, highlighting triggers and laughter, and so much more. Join us as we embark on a journey of unlocking spiritual potential. As always, we promise to give you what you need and only sometimes what you want. Let's get going, B. All right. Collective? No. It's a no for me. We need to stop. You guys are feeding way too much into fear constructs, and it is unrooting and just making you fucking crazy. I'm gonna just need you to stop. I need you to pause. I need you to simmer down, because we did not get this far to go backwards into fear.
But see, that's the thing. I wish people could, we always talk about manifestations, right? And people want to do that with the higher energy of things. But what people don't get is when you sit in that fear, that anxiety, that doubt, you are just as powerful in the lower level of energy, that you are manifesting those things right before your eyes. Manifestation isn't just the higher level of things, it is also the lower level of things. And right now, it just seems like the collective has taken almost like this, kind of want to say like a little detour, and we're going to need you to get back on track, get off the train tracks, get back on the platform. Because the level of, I just want to call it unhinged, because it's just unhinged right now, belief in the lower level of things, that victim mentality, that afraid of what everybody thinks, that afraid to be your authentic self, it's literally manifesting as the opposite of what people are actually trying to achieve.
And it's like, I'm sorry, but for me, it's the out to get me. For me, it's the out to get me that irks my shit. I'm sorry. You did not just spend the last how many months of your healing journey, of your self-acceptance journey, of your spiritual awakening, whatever the fuck you want to call it. You did not just spend all that time pulling yourself out of the swamp to go back into it. You are either the divine feminine and the divine masculine. You are loved, you are protected, you have a whole team of guides that have your back, you're God's favorite, you're chosen, you're one of the 144,000, whatever the fuck label that you are owning right now that gets you out of bed in the morning. You are not beloved, honored, and all these things, powerful, spiritual, and then breaking curses, and then all of a sudden, Cindy Lou Who on the corner can stop you on a dime because she gave you a dirty look, and her evil eye is just so awful that it hinders everything you're doing. You are either divinely protected, guided, and loved, or you're not. You can't be both, and you certainly can't be both at the same time. You can't have some random person who doesn't know anything about how to command their energy, doesn't know how to think for themselves, doesn't have any type of acceptance or anything that's going on, and views themselves so negatively, all of a sudden overwhelm you energetically and have such a large effect on you that you lose your footing in what you know to be true. If that's the case, you never had it and you were lying to yourself. And that's the God's honest truth. And I'm sorry, that might suck, that might hurt. You might be feeling a little attacked, a little triggered. You got to go sit with yourself, because if you can lose it that quickly, you never had it to begin with. You had a false idea of it. You think you had it handled. You think what you really did is you pushed it away. Because you can't lose it like that with somebody who is so unaware of themselves. I'm not talking about the greater, higher perspective. I'm talking about themselves. They're so unaware about themselves that now all of a sudden they have all this power and all this energy and all these things that can unseat you. Are you kidding me?
But I love how you just said that, where you were like, you might have been lying to yourself. You might have this, you might have that. Because what do we always say? The universe gives you what you are, not what you want. So you can lie to yourself. What do you say? You can lie to me, you can lie to anybody you want to, but you can't lie to yourself. So if you keep repeating these patterns, if you keep finding yourselves in this fear-mongering, destructive, disempowering constructs, you have to ask yourself where that's actually rooted within you. because the thing is, what you focus on will be. And the thing is, it doesn't even have to be, you know, just this person or just that. It can be the little things. It can be what you pay attention to in the background, what you're watching on the TV, what you're listening to on podcasts, radio, this, that. What are you programming your mind with? And I think a lot of people don't take that step back far enough and realize that they feed a lot of this stuff on their own while they're trying to like straddle both worlds, right? They want that higher level of awakening and energy and manifestation. And then they're actually playing in a much lower level energy paradigm. And I think there's a lot of, and don't come for me. I mean, this probably trigger people. A lot of people running around in masks, pretending to be a lot more healed than they actually are. And then the second something that could be deemed as fearful creeps up, it's, oh my God, so and so is doing this to me. Okay, maybe that's not it. Like, let's go backwards to go forwards. Why is the first thing that everybody always thinks is that when something less than pleasurable happens in your life, something uncomfortable happens in your life, something that you deem as bad, right? That it's automatically somebody doing something to you. Because my brain does a few things when I unpack things like that. Sometimes, you know, maybe it's just the energy you put out and you're giving it back. Maybe it's the energy in which you align. Maybe it's where your focus goes. Maybe it's what you actually entertain. And when I say this, it's the little things. Like, what are you spending your days talking about? Who are you talking to? Are you aligning yourself with energies that don't really support what you're trying to do? You know, we always say it often, like, look at who you surround yourself with. And I don't mean that, you know, even at work, like a lot of people know, they always say they have toxic work environments. There's that gossip, there's that BS talking behind people's back, this and that. If that is the majority of where you spend your day and you sit in that energy and you participate in it, you're going to start watching it filter into your life. It doesn't necessarily mean that people are doing things to you. That's so disempowering and the opposite of standing in your power, sitting in your power, reclaiming your power, doing the work, all of the things where it's like you started off with, it's like collective. Pause and ask yourself why you're taking this bait and being so easily swayed off of everything that you've been working so hard through. What is comfortable about this construct? And that's how I want to say that. What is comfortable about the construct to you that you keep going back to it?
Well, and it's like, so the way I always think about it is because I like to break things down and make it so painfully simple that it almost sounds a little stupid. And then people are like, oh, I get it now. Because it's literally just like, okay, so let's just picture this. You spent the last year, I don't know, growing and building a tree. Fantastic. That's your tree. It's rooted in the ground. You know what your tree to be. Like, fantastic. You have all the faith in the world in that tree. That tree has withstood all the weather around it. Now Johnny comes up with a rock and throws a rock at your tree. Are you going to all of a sudden panic going, my tree can't handle this? Johnny's rock's going to take out my... No, you're not. You're not. Because you're going to be like, that rock's not going to do shit to that tree. You know how many thunderstorms that tree's been through? You know how many lightning strikes that tree has taken? You know how many earthquakes it's been through? You know how many floods it's withstood? I'm not worried about Johnny's rock. So if you are literally finding yourself going, oh no, Johnny's right, the rock's going to take out my tree, you have zero faith in your tree, which means you have zero faith in yourself. You have zero faith in whatever thing you've claimed to align with, claimed to believe, and you're sitting a little hypocritically. Nobody wants to realize that, but you can't be telling people, "Oh, I trust my team, I trust myself, I trust the path that I'm on, I know that I'm right," and then all of a sudden be like, "Oh no, I can't do this," and then start panicking. It makes no sense. And I'm sorry, who cares? Like, and this is just my perspective. On the grand scheme of things, who gives a shit? Who cares if Tommy down the block is trying to cast evil at you? Who cares? Because I'm sorry, at some point you're like, my protections are so damn hard that Tommy's little whatever is not even going to allow entry into the club. And that's why Tommy's so mad. Because he on the outside, he can't get in. And
Yep.
that's where it's just like, I don't really understand why we get so bent up out of shape about evil eye, about negativity, hell, even about curses or hexes or wards or whatever it is. What does it matter? Because in saying that somebody else's magic intention, whatever density, has the ability to penetrate whatever you have going on that is innately you, means that their energy bests yours. You are admitting that somebody is better than you and somebody has control, they have power over you. They can now hinder what you're doing, they can stop you. That I don't choose to live like that. That's wild. You are giving your power away to somebody. And what's even more fucked up is it's usually people that you say are below you. Can we just, like,
Yeah.
for a second? It's
Yep.
usually the people that you're like, they don't know anything. They're in gossip. They're I hate when people say people are unawakened, but how much do we fucking hear it? Like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm awakened and they're not. Great. So then why are they bothering you then?
Yep.
If you're so much better, if you're so more powerful, if you know so much, if you're more connected to the all, to ether, to source, spirit, creator, God, whatever, universe, and they're not, then you're basically telling yourself that they're more limited than you in their range of ability, their range in energy commanding, but then they're better than you.
Yes.
Make it make sense. The problem isn't them, it's you. And that's what people don't understand. The problem with fear constructs isn't the people pushing them, it's you.
But
What
it
is
goes
it
back.
about your energy that you still have that makes you go, I believe that? I believe the garbage they're spewing. I believe what they're telling me. What is it about all of that that you are aligning some part of yourself with? Is it a past version? Is it your shadow? Is it that version of you that's been like, I've been kind of lying to myself because there's a lot of questions I don't have answers to and I'm not okay with it? What is it? Or is it comfortable? Did you just get out of chaos and now that things are too peaceful, we kind of want to get back to the chaos because the peace is boring and we felt more I can't tell you how many people say they felt more alive in the chaos. No, that's fight or flight. You were at
That's
such a heightened level,
1000% though. But
like
that's it. That's it. Because it's a really good quote, and I don't know who it is, so I can't give credit where credit's due. But it's essentially that, when we always talk about the nervous system and fear and fight or flight, your nervous system will pick the comfortability of the chaos every single time until you rewire it and give it something else to choose. I hear this when we talk about this, fear and disempowering shit. I hear it all the time when people play out the narcissist paradigm and that construct and that archetype where they're so glad that they got out from underneath that crap, right? And it's like that's a huge testimony to break through that, to this and that. But when it's become so ingrained in them, then they're like, but they're still doing this to me and they're still doing that to me. There's that quote where the best way to cut something off is to starve it.
now a word from our sponsors. If you are looking for a one-stop shop for all things spiritual, check out the website www.childofbalance.com. We opened up a Get 5 Give 5 program, and it's all for referring friends and family. We know you guys do it. We want to say thank you because we are always seeing you send your trusted people our way. So visit the website and figure out how you can not only get $5 for doing it, but give $5 to your bestie. Visit www.childofbalance.com. There's no end date. So if you want a one-stop shop for private spaces, spiritual guidance and assistance, mediumship, mentorship, private readings, shadow work assistance, it's all there. If you are looking for a free tree of knowledge where you can learn esoteric wisdoms, breath work, you can learn about yourself, cultures, spiritual hygiene, spiritual practices, spiritual traditions, and you can just learn about almost anything under the sun spiritual for 100% free, check out the website. And you should become a member. If you're not already a member, www.childofbalance.com. It's 100% free. It'll never cost you money. We would never charge you money. The website is about assistance and community. Take advantage of it, fam. It's a great place to go to unlock your spiritual potential. www.childofbalance.com.
Starve it of your energy. I promise you, and I mean this because I can say once upon a time, we'd be liars if we didn't own our own shit. Once upon a time, we've all played in a fear construct. Once upon
Yep.
a time, we have all thought somebody bested us, right? Or that we're doing something to us, or they could get one over on us, right? But the
Yep.
thing is, you are giving them that power. I've done it. And I mean that, like, I've done that. I have given someone that kind of power over me only to, like, literally be like that scene from Liar Liar when he's kicking his own ass in the bathroom and be like, okay, like, smack yourself around and be like, what are we doing here? Like, you're either the victor or you're not. Like, you're either the warrior or you're not. Like, you're either the bad bitch that you say you are or you're not. Which is it? Because you cannot be both. And I'm telling you, the second that you starve something of your energy and your attention and your focus, it will poof out of your reality like this. But I want to go backwards again when you said something about the tree roots, right? Your fear is in your root chakra. Your fear is in your safety. It's in your
Yep.
security. It's if all you have ever known is chaos, if all you have ever known is fear, even when you get yourself out, you're constantly scanning your environment, and that's what you're looking for. That's the program you run on, your fight or flight. That's it. Your nervous system is running the program that is attracting your experiences in your external world. That's why when we say the universe gives you what you are, not what you want, until you recalibrate that, you will continue to attract that fear, that anxiety, the unsafe situations. And I don't mean like physical violence or things that I mean the things that make you have to second guess yourself, the things that have you playing those internalized voices over and over again, all of the things that make you trust in the lower level of things, thus making you feel unsafe, thus making you sit in fear, thus breeding your anxiety, right? And that panic and this and that, until you reset your nervous system and give it a new program to run. It is embedded in that fear. And you have to ask yourself why. You have to ask yourself why you keep doing that to yourself.
And it really just shocks me how contradictory our humanness can be. And I feel like that's why the pause is so important. When you hear something like, I don't know, like just something silly like, I don't know. Yeah, go ahead.
Something silly like, okay, let's use spirituality. Let's use this. Let's say you invest in learning protection, right? Let's say you invest, you know what I mean, your time, your space, your effort, and energy into protection practices, whether it's candles, whether it's energetic, it doesn't matter, right? And then the person that you're learning this from literally is like, but you're being attacked. So I'm confused. But like you said, like that's the humanness in your higher self going like, so we just invested all this time and space and effort into learning protective practices, right? Like I said, whether it's energetically, whether it's, you know what I'm saying, carrying
But
crystals,
clearly they don't work.
but clearly they don't work because you're
You're
still
being
getting
attacked
attacked and you're still this and you're still that. So like
to the point
my
where you are not a person and you can't function in your daily life, then obviously what you're doing does not work for you.
so again, but what does that mean? That means that what you're being taught doesn't work for you, right? You just might not align with what you were taught. So that means finding something, because I'm going to tell you this. You say it all the time, where it's like we do I'm a butcher it because I always do. Mindful practices until we don't need to be mindful anymore. Do that the right way. Do that the right way because that ain't it. But I can do it in my head. always preface that with, I always say it right,
I
but
thought you were gonna get it that time. I was like, "Oh, she's on
no,
it," and then no.
no, I'm
So
never
we
gonna
do
get it.
mindful practices until we no longer need the mind to practice.
There you go. That's it. But like piggy, that's what I'm trying to say. But the whole point is that all of these things that we do, and I mean this, like in the spiritual journey, whether it's crystals, whether it's candle magic, whether it's whatever. You can give whatever, divination, whatever practice that you use for protection, right? Wards, runes, this, that. You're doing these things outside of yourself to make yourself feel empowered, to connect with elements, to do these things and make yourself feel more powerful until you realize that that is just the energy in which you sit and you can still choose to do those external things, but you don't need them in the way that you once did because you know what the power is to be you. You know what it is to be protected. You know what it is to stand up every time you fall down. Every time you know what I'm saying? Every time you've had to crawl, you figured out how to get back up. Every time you found a rock bottom, you got back up. Every time, you know what I mean? You were at war with yourself, but you thought you were warring outside of yourself. Yet here you are. Your track record is 100%. It is 100%, people. What are we afraid of?
Well, I think that's really the question, though. Like, what are you really afraid of? Are you afraid that you're not gonna be able to do it? Are you afraid that, you're not good enough to do it? Are you afraid that you're not strong enough, not powerful, you're not worthy enough? Or is it actually the fear of what happens if I do it? Then
Or
what?
is it
What
or
if I
is it what
succeed?
happens if I let go of this narrative that has been such a big part of my life? When
It's
you
like, where do you go from there?
crafted, and I mean that when you've crafted that narrative, and there's nothing wrong with it. We've all been there. Again, no judgment. We've all been there at some point in time where we have literally told ourselves and fed ourselves the same story over and over again that has been so disempowering to us until we're willing to rip that page out of our book and go, we are not repeating this any longer. We're not going back to reread it. Is it really the idea that we have crafted who we are and our adversities and our battles and all of these things that define us? That if we took that out of the equation, who would we be?
Well, and it's like, because you know that we love a little bit of debate, so might as well get it going on the first episode of season 2. But like, let's just think about this, right? Like, let's just pull this out of everything that we know, right? Let's remove all that we've just learned, all that you guys have incorporated in your life. Now, let's think pre your spiritual awakening. How many times did you ever feel really attacked? How many times did somebody's energy really affect you before you even knew what energy was? I'm not talking about like when you adopted being an empath and then you couldn't walk in a room all of a sudden. No, I'm talking about like before that, when you were in high school, when you were a young adult, maybe when you were a preteen, maybe even earlier. Like, really, how much did this shit affect you? How much did it? Did it at all? Did it really hinder you, or did you just have like this mild awareness that something was different? Or maybe you saw or talked to ghosts, or you would be like, "Oh, like I think something more's out there," right? But like, how much did it actually hinder your life? Were you running around where you needed protection from everything, or was that not really the case? Could somebody hating on you in the school hallway or in the locker room or whatever completely sidewind your entire future, or no?
But I love
Because it's
that
like,
example. Because seriously, if we go, let's go back to high school. That's like the fantastic example.
because it's the
So
swamp.
So exactly. So Susie over here is jealous of, you know what I mean, Sally over here, right? So she gives her dirty looks or evil eyes, right? She slanders her name, she gossips, she makes fun, you know what I mean? She turns people against her, like, because we're this clique and there's this clique. So were we calling people back then and being like, oh my God, what are all the protections I need to put up because this girl is jealous of me? I'm sorry. So now we're grown ass adults and this is how we're operating because we have an awareness now of what it means to be protected. Because back then, I can tell you what advice would have been given to me. Why don't you just ignore it? If you know it's not true. You know what I'm saying? That's the era I grew up in. Like this
Well, but dude, but that's the
parents
key. You
running
just said it though.
interference through bullying and like,
But you
you know what I mean?
just said it. You just said it. Ignore it if you know it to not be true.
So
That
what? You're
translate as an
exposing it.
energy as don't adopt
Yep.
what does not align with you. Don't adopt what isn't in your core being.
Yep. It's literally
Everybody hated that
starving of your
response, but
attention.
that's the truth.
Because, but that's the thing, when you start thinking about it, because I love this example so much now. If you start thinking about the world and the way that some people choose to align and operate and whatever, there are these unhinged, unhealed teenagers walking around in adult bodies. Literally. They're literally it's the unhealed teenager, right? Your high school years, your junior high years, your high school years, walking around in adult bodies, engaging in the exact same behavior.
Now, a word from our sponsors. If you are looking for a one stop shop for all things spiritual, check out the website www.childofbalance.com. For those of you who truly appreciate handmade products, we have a handmade shop. Everything is made to order, blessed, saged, and sent out as quick as possible. We have anything from handmade sounds for meditation to herbal blends like bath teas and dump and go specials to road opener mixes to kits and oils and so much more. For those of you who enjoy taking spiritual classes and courses but maybe can't fit it into your busy schedule, we have self-study courses and everything can be found in the handmade shop. The website is about assistance and community. Take advantage of it, fam. It's a great place to go to unlock your spiritual potential. www.childofbalance.com. And it's
Why
scary.
as adults are we more scared of the teenage bullies in adult bodies than we were in high school when we were just ignoring them and lived our life and paid them no mind?
But see, but that's the thing. So then I have a question for everybody listening then, like, so really how powerful is the energy? As powerful as you allow it to be. You give it power. That's why people say like out of sight, out of mind, right? It's the same thing. What you don't know can't hurt you. Well, now that you brought it into your awareness, how big of a spot did you give it in your story? How large of a space did you write about it? How many paragraphs is it in that chapter of yours? Because that's really important, right? With your awareness comes your attention. With your attention comes your energy. Then you're accidentally feeding something. You can be aware of something and not place attention on it, right? It's a moment of awareness going, huh, okay. But then you have to pivot. Otherwise, you're going to be drawn into feeding something you don't prefer. And people will say, the keys, how many times people come to us up in arms, dude. I don't understand what's happened to me. I need help. I can't handle it. Why are we looking? Why are we going on social media? Why are we doing all these things? Why are we talking to people to get the downloads on what they're doing? What does it matter? We are if you are keeping track of something, you're feeding it. I'm sorry,
Not
you're feeding it.
only that,
It should fall so far out of your realm of awareness because you know that they can try all they want, but they can't touch you. They can't touch your energy. They can't touch your soul. They can't touch your aura. They can't touch your life. You you either believe that you can't be stopped when you are divinely guided or protected, or you don't. You either believe that you are on your divine pathway and nothing can get in the way of that, or you don't. You either believe that you are like seriously just doing your own thing, or you believe that every little bit of wind that comes your way is going to blow you over. You have
I,
to pick one.
I have another example that I think is, I want to take it back to childhood for people because I think like if you can just go back to your childhood and start looking at your adult life through a different lens, you're actually probably going to sit here and go, what am I even doing? Right? And I want to take
Yeah.
it back. Anybody who ever played sports, okay? I want you to think of like nobody can do what you can do the way that you do it. That is your authenticity. There are so many people that buy into this fear construct, right? Of like, well, people are trying to be me. People are trying to this. People, you know what I'm saying? Like this competition, this jealousy, this envy, this compete where you don't compare type of energy.
Yeah, like imposter syndrome.
Exactly. But you can't ever be someone else. You can try your damnedest, but I want to take it back to sports. You stayed in your lane in sports, and the only person you like, when I say you might have been, you had an awareness, right? That like so and so's wants this position too, right? But ain't nobody going to do it like you do it. It's impossible. It's impossible. So what would you do? You would go out there. I'm gonna use softball as an example, but you'd go out there and you'd practice your, your hitting, or if you were a pitcher, you'd go out with dad or whoever, right? And just one after another. And it was you versus you the whole time. You didn't allow people to rent space for free in your head because you had that focus. You had your eye on what was important to you. Why, as adults, are we buying into these fear constructs where we have to compete with grown ass adults? It's just wild to me. It's so disempowering, and it just leads to that lower level of energy of afraid to trust in making your mark on the world, shining in your authenticity. Nobody can duplicate that, and anybody who tries is literally an imposter. It's just that simple. It roots all the way back to into imposter syndrome, which
But
is
that's the
rooted.
thing, like, but it's not gonna prosper. So why are you
No.
worried? Why are you we are in an era where the fake bullshit doesn't prosper, and when it does, it literally is so minimal, and then it comes crashing down to the ground that it's not even worth your attention. And sometimes the reason it sticks around as long as it does is because you're keeping an eye on it, is
Mm,
because you're feeding its existence. There's a large part of this that it's just like, I want to tell people some of this fear is so delusional. It's so much painted in
no,
illusion and delusion that
yeah.
it's like, I want to tell you, is this actually coming to you from an outside source, or are you creating your own adversary so that you can be battling and fighting something so you feel like you have a purpose? And it really is, it is kind of sad, kind of scary, but it goes back to that chaos is all you've ever known. So when it's too quiet, well, we have to create our own chaos. I can't tell you how many people come to me and ask for hex removal, curse removals, or come on our lives and have a question about, oh, I think this person's doing something nasty to me. But then you ask them why they think that, and there's actually zero facts. They just woke up on Tuesday and we're like, oh, but there's nothing really going on in their life. Or it's like, oh, well, my car died. Okay, when was the last time you did maintenance on your car? Well, not since I bought it. Okay, when did you buy your car? 4 years ago. Okay, well, your
There's
car's
a
probably
logical
old. Like,
explanation, and
and
it
it's like,
won't
I'm
make
not
sense.
telling you to, like, negate your intuition, but it's
No.
like we're spirit in a vessel. So the vessel part matters, the humanness matters too. If you are being targeted physically in the 3D world, like people are claiming is happening to them in most fear constructs, right? It's like there's gonna be some physical evidence for it, right? You're gonna have, you know, you're gonna have evidence of foul play, wrongdoing. You're gonna have something, right? More than just, well, I know that this person doesn't like me, and all of a sudden I'm hitting a string of bad luck. Okay, so instead of being like, oh, this just might be like, something we have to travel through to get to where we're going. It could be a pause. Right, it could be a redirection. It could literally be part of a lesson or a test. You go, someone must be doing this to me. And then you pick the one person that you still internally have a problem with. Let's put that into perspective. And the more you go, I don't have no problem with that person, but they have a problem with me. And the more you own that shit, you can feel the disharmony in your energy surrounding this other energy. And it's just like you have to ask yourself, who's really doing it and who's really feeding it? And then now all of a sudden we have some of those people who are like, well, what kind of, ritual do I have to do? Nothing. You don't have to do anything. Why are we entertaining it? If it's beneath us, this person's beneath us. If they're such an awful evil person, why are we playing on their playing field? Why are we taking our ball and going to their court to go play a game? That's wild to me.
Yep.
I'd be like, you want to play with me? Come on up here and play with me. Play with me on my court if you want to play with me. When you get here, then we'll deal with it. But if they can't get up to your court, then it doesn't require your attention.
Irrelevant. It's completely irrelevant. You're choosing your reality by what you're entertaining. It's just that simple. You're choosing your reality and what materializes for you based on what you're entertaining. If you entertain lower level energy, that's what you're going to see.
I don't know what else there really is to say on this. I think honestly that's about it, because it's really just that simple. So before you get swept away
It's
into a fear
self-sabotage.
construct, before you get swept away in a fear construct where someone's telling you that your abundance is being hindered, your blessings aren't coming in, somehow some outside energy person, thing, being can stop you from doing whatever you want or what you're meant to do or what you're supposed to do. Like, I'm gonna need you to just do a whole serious half halt, really pause your ass for a second and go, what? That doesn't make any damn sense. And if you think it makes sense, and if you're like, oh, that actually makes sense to me, you really need to stop and ask yourself why. Because I'm pretty sure when you compare it to everything else that you've just realized about yourself, it can't make sense. It can't. All right, thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Spiritual Roundtable with myself, Child of Balance, and Miss Keyswisdom 369. And we hope to see you next week for another seat at the roundtable. For anyone else interested in other social medias, the Free Tree of Knowledge, private services, local events, and much more, check out our website, www.childofbalance.com. Until next time, please remember you are to feel your way through everything. Do not stop, do not make yourself smaller, and always continue to be unapologetically and authentically you, because the world needs more of that.